So earlier this year, we launched the Reimagining Agile initiative. Myself, Heidi Musser, Sanjeev Augustine, and fellow co-author Jim Highsmith. And I want to talk you through a little bit about what the website means to certainly myself. It's right now the only thing that's live at the moment is the event page, but we're working on exemplars, initiatives, and other things. And let me explain a little bit about that. Now, my colleagues have some other angles as well, but I'm going to give you a little bit of what reimagining Agile means to me. And from that perspective, describe a little bit of what's coming in the web app. As I mentioned, the events page is there for at least displaying events that we've added. Next will be the ability to submit events, and we're talking about reimagining Agile related events. So, for example, there was a Polish hackathon on Is Agile Dead a couple weeks ago. So things like that are around pushing the envelope for reimagining Agile. Then the exemplars. Let me explain. I think most of us can sense that a lot has been going on in the world these days. And there's a lot of volatility, a lot of uncertainty, ambiguity. People would call that VUCA, a lot of complexity. And at the same time, there's some agile bashing that occurs here and there, like on LinkedIn and places like that. And I felt the need to show beacons of hope, places where agility is flourishing today, and shine a light on those. And I don't mean let's say, a standard marketing type case study, but rather something real, something that can inspire. And there's a dual purpose here. One is to offer hope and show folks who are especially those who might be new to Agile, that it can succeed, and it can succeed very well. The other angle is a little more researchy, and to be able to mine and dig. And I look forward to being able to have conversations with folks who have what might be a potential exemplar, to try to figure out what was going on. What did we do to create an environment? What did they do, frankly, to create an environment in which that level of agility could happen? Because from a perspective of what did we do when we came up with the Agile Manifesto, a bunch of us who were successful software developers got together and figured out kind of what were some common threads, common themes. They turned into values, they turned into principles. But we did not mention a lot of the implicit things that might have been going on. And we certainly didn't touch on, gee, I wonder why for example, in my Defense Department world, which is very heavyweight, as you can imagine, waterfall, how was there an environment that allowed me to even attempt to do some things that we would now call agile? What was that? So that's what we mean by finding places where Agile is flourishing, and a few of us might be able to dig in, ask some questions, figure out what can we mine from that experience, and bring that to the surface. And imagine doing that across many exemplars. Maybe we can be like a level above what we did for the Agile Manifesto and Snowbird, and move beyond just the technical practices and the software aspects, but what even allowed those to occur. So what is a level above? What needs to be present? What can we do to encourage agility? And part of what we might discover are things that we're loosely calling moves. I happen to have recently spoken with Brian Button from the Agile Alliance. He said, oh, well, what you're talking about sounds a lot like the patterns. He says, you remember what we used to do for, object-oriented patterns. So yeah, I think they could very well be patterns, ways of working. Try this in this context. And small, I mean, Mike, I call them maybe micro ways of working, not huge frameworks, not giant things to get stuck on, but rather subtle things that might have been occurring. And some of these are small enough. My colleagues and I at Adaptivist, we have some methods and some ways of working that we try in different situations. And I think things like that, as an example, one is don't ask why something that you wanted to happen did not happen, because you might get some fantastical answers around pretending like something that didn't really occur, could have occurred. Well, we don't want to talk in the future. Instead, we want to be grounded in, well, let's instead look at what actually happened. So that's a really simple technique, very small, very short, easy to understand. Stick with let's talk about why did what happen actually happen. And that might be a move in a certain context. And the idea behind this is expressing these moves, being able to have others try to use them, create experiments, try it out in their context, things that might resonate with them, and be able to feedback the results and maybe add some new moves. So the idea is to slowly build out exemplars from which we can draw hope and possibly mine for nuggets and kind of the meta things that are going on, be able to publish some, admittedly more researchy type works about stuff that we're finding. And in addition to these types of things, be able to have what I'm calling threaded conversations. So down at the bottom of this diagram, you can kind of see there will be a forum, a way that folks can point to a page or even an external page, and let's have conversations around it. And there will be other things, I'm sure, reference materials, folks can create articles and things like that, maybe stuff that the global community will ask for. But at the moment, this is kind of the vision, the steps that we have going forward. And eventually, I'm playing a little bit of a game to see how long I can delay creating a user account. But eventually, we'll actually have accounts, because in order to have threaded conversations, you need to own up to the things you're saying. So don't want to have bots, we don't want to have trolls, things like that. So we'll eventually have accounts, and some will be able to just be members and enjoy and collaborate, comment, have these threaded conversations on stuff that's up in the web app. Others might have author rights. So it's a little to be determined. And then I would imagine around the world, we might have a set of moderators that help keep the peace and keep things sort of aligned to some guidelines, and maybe, around certainly behavior and be nice and kind. But anyway, that's a little bit of my fellow, kind of the reimagining Agile web app in a flash. Thank you.